Welcome back to Boys and Ghouls Film Review, folks. I'm your host, Sarah Stephenson. This is my co-host, Mike Stephenson.
Hi, guys.
And we're just getting into two other horror Halloween podcasts before the big day. This will be our second one, and this week will be the week when Halloween starts.
Yeah, we're getting closer to Halloween. So we do these a couple of weeks ahead. So we're coming into Halloween week now. So of our podcast.
Guys, after this one, after our next podcast episode, we will be going. We'll be 2 nights sleep. Well, 2 nights till we get to check out Fright Night, which is going to be really exciting, and I can't wait to check it out. I just hope it's good weather for that night.
And she'll obviously put something on her website.
So, anyway, tonight we were reviewing a Halloween movie titled Tales of Halloween that was released in 2015.
That's American comedy horror anthology. 10 stories, if you will, all done by different directors and different writers. So when I do my little bit there, I'm not going to mention everybody necessarily, but I'll do my best.
And I won't. And I will mention the stories really quickly, as per usual.
Otherwise, you'll be having a very, 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 very long podcast. You'll be falling asleep during it. And stuff.
Most of the segment is very short, short segments throughout this movie. They're not very long. They're not very. I mean, there's no need to go into the nitty gritty. They just cut to the chase, like as usual. So we don't have to worry about it being a very long, feature film, as it turns out. Anyway, Mike, let's dive into it.
I've got a bucket load of people in here. Like I said, about 10 different stories. Now, I'll just go through. I won't mention the actors, not out of disrespect. I just mean it's like a what do you call it? A cast of thousands because of all the different storylines of all different actors. So what I'm going to do first, produced by Shaked Berenson, Axel Carolyn, Tada Che, Patrick Ewald, and Mike Mendez. I think I got the pronunciations correct.
Right.
Now, directed by, here's a bucket load of people. Here we go.
Bucket load of directors.
Each one of these was responsible for each episode of each story within the movie. Okay. Neil Marshall, Darren Lynn Bousman, I think it is, Axel Carolyn, Lucky McKee, Andrew Cash, Paul Sollett, John Skip, Adam Clarash, and Jace Anderson must have been co-directing. Mike Mendez, Ryan Schifrin, and Dave Parker. So they're the directors. Now, written by, some of these people wrote stories as well. Axel Carolyn, Andrew Cash, Neil Marshall, Lucky McGee, Mike Mendez, Dave Parker, Ryan Schifrin, Clint Sears, John Skip, and Greg Commons. So they're the people involved in putting this little masterpiece together. Now, we'll not mention the actors, again, not out of disrespect, but there's about 30 plus actors involved, and I don't want to go through them all, try and say who played who to what and everything else. So,
but we will mention one cameo actor who she's sort of the thing that ties the whole story together.
Yeah, she's like an introducer, DJ, a little bit of, wouldn't say a narrator, but that sort of thing. And she's sort of a little bit behind the scenes. And
at the opening credits, we get to see her face. I guess when they were casting her, she said, I want to make sure my face is in the credits.
Yeah, just for a few moments.
Just for a few moments. I mean, everyone else gets their appearance, so she must have a little bit of a facial look being looked at.
This lady has been around, and not being rude, but she's been around for quite some time for the movies and TV medium. I've seen her in different things. Oh, she's popping up again. She shows up in the most unexpected places. Now, her name is Adrienne Barbeau.
Yeah.
She plays the DJ, whose voice in the background, also doing a bit of an introduction to the film and whatever. But yeah, as soon as I saw her, I remember.
Yeah.
Creepshow 1 or 2. The Crate. She played the lady who got gobbled up by the monster.
And I've seen her in the first Swamp Thing movie.
Yes, she played a doctor. Was it a doctor? No,
She was either an agent from the government investigating the doctor's activities up there, whatever. I won't go into details.
The swamp. Yeah.
And she's been in, I think, another John Carpenter movie called The Mist, I think, where she was playing a DJ in that one, I think.
That's right. I forgot about that one. Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure if it's a DJ, because DJ doesn't make sense.
Was it all Lighthouse? No, was it?
She was in the Lighthouse, and that's where she did her recording on a radio station.
Right, yes, something like that. That rings a bell. Anyway, irrespective, I can't say too much about this. I don't know anything about budgets or anything else. Cannot tell you. I do know it's available, but through Amazon and eBay. If you want to go looking for it, and I suggest you do, you can rent it through Amazon Prime. You can buy it through eBay or Amazon and other places, obviously. I don't think there's anything else I can talk about. I've got no production information I can give you or anything else. It makes my job sort of a bit obsolete, this one.
Yeah, it's such a shame.
I might as well go and do coffee or something. No. Okay, do you want to take over and tell a bit of an overview of the stories?
Yeah, so when she does the DJ thing, it sounds like the Wolfman back in the old days, even though I never heard it.
Just a gravelly voice.
Just in a cringy way.
A nice sort of sweet, sinister voice in the background.
Exactly.
So sultry.
The first story is about a boy called Sweet Tooth. And
actually, can I say who wrote these as you go through them?
Yeah, you can write it.
Sweet Tooth is written and directed by Dave Parker.
Yes.
Yeah, carry on.
So the story begins where a boy comes home from trick-or-treating to his babysitter and her date. And they tell her about an urban legend that deals with another boy who gave his candy to his mum and dad, and they scoffed a lot.
Yeah, they told him, it's bad for you, you can't have it. He's allowed to go trick-or-treating, and they wouldn't let him have any. A bit like Willy Wonka's dad.
Yeah.
And he found out they were eating all the chockies and lollies and everything else. He got really annoyed.
And he got his revenge by eating them.
He killed them, and then he ate all the chockies, and then he opened them up and ate the ones that they'd already eaten.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And anyway, they end the story by saying you must pay, give some of your candy good to said, him, the Sweet Tooth.
Sweet Tooth, who would come around looking for sweets. If you leave some sweets out for him, he'll leave you alone. There you go. Nice.
This is like an urban legend, all urban legends. It comes alive and it seeks its revenge on the people who eat too much candy on the night.
So guess what?
Both the babysitter and her boyfriend get their just desserts. And
Sweet Tooth got his desserts. Lots of lollies.
Yeah, among other things.
Whatever.
Anyway, moving on to our next story called The Night Bill Raised Hell.
Right now. And this is written by Clint Sears, directed by Darren Lynn Bousman.
Now, this one is an interesting one where it deals with a boy who's told by his sister and her friend to play a prank on the neighbor.
An old grumpy old guy.
Yeah, throw an egg, but unfortunately it's caught, and then he's shown the meaning of what Halloween is all about. The
little boy gets dragged inside the house, and then he's, I'm going to show you the meaning of Halloween.
Yeah.
And then we see the old man come out with, we believe to be,
Billy,
the little boy.
But so they create hell. They do some really creepy pranks.
They kill people and run over people with cars and stuff and everything else.
Steal candy and stuff with guns.
Raise hell, really,
and
literally.
By the time they get back, we find out that Billy's tied to a chair while a demon who's wearing the same costume as him is raising hell.
Outside. And then when the little boy is released,
he's going to be shot.
And he walks outside, the police come there and get him, and he moves the wrong way, looks the wrong way, so the police just shoot him.
Yeah.
Nice one.
And this is done very nicely.
Yeah, we didn't see the little boy get shot.
That's a good thing. Next story is Trick.
Okay, this one was written by Greg Commons and directed by Adam Girash.
Refresh my memory, Mike. Which one was this one?
The Smoking Pot, Night of the Living Dead movies on. And a witch girl comes to the front door.
Oh, yeah, that one. It's about
bits and pieces.
It's about two couples. They're watching Night of the Living Dead, and they get attacked by some young trick-or-treaters. And we find out later that these people, the adults, they've been killing and kidnapping and torturing little children.
Yeah, and these other little children know about it, so they get their revenge.
Yeah. Then we end with the all the adults getting killed by the said trick-or-treaters.
Trick-or-treat.
Anyway, moving on. The next one is called The Weak and the Wicked.
Now, this one, that was written, hey, ladies, written by Molly Millions, whoever Molly is, directed by Paul Sollett.
Yeah, so what's this one about, Mike?
I'm not going to tell you. No. You should know this.
I'm trying. It's hard to remember because there's 10 segments in this, and I can't remember them all. Sadly enough, it's just the case.
You remember that one guy was dressed up as a demon? And the demon helps him?
Yeah, I do. This one is about 3 trick-or-treaters who are
really mean
old,
guys.
mean teenagers who are picking fun of some kids, and then one of the oldest ones who has a past with them. He runs into them and he takes them to the place where they killed his parents.
They burned out a caravan they're living in.
Yeah.
Actually, it's quite funny. They'd burned it out, obviously, but it didn't look that burnt out when you're standing in front of it.
No,
funny
it does
that.
not. Funny that.
It got better.
Anyway, the said kids, they approach him and they're about to beat him probably. But when a demon appears, which he predicts will come to wreak his revenge.
Wreak.
I won't tell you what happens to them. It's too good. And it's too gross.
But, yeah, he gets his own back. How's that?
The next story is called Grinning Ghost. And this one's an interesting
you know what that
one.
one's about?
Oh, yes, I do.
Okay, very good.
Now my mind's refreshing on
the brain's
what?
kicked in.
Yes. So, this one's about... Well, who wrote it, Mike?
Well, thank you for asking. It was written and directed by Axel Carolyn.
Okay, so this one is about another urban legend, I think, about a grinning ghost, and her grandma, a lady's grandma, is telling the story, and she gets the fright by some of her friends, and then they spend the night drinking and doing whatever, and then...
But wait, the story is, if you go out alone and you walk down the street and you think someone's coming up behind you, do not turn around. Do not look into their eyes, because if you do, it's supposed to be the...
Grinning ghost.
The ghost of Mary Bailey, and if you turn around and look at her, I think she steals your eyes or something. Or
sounds like something
she was deformed or had it really ugly, and people used to shun her when she was alive.
Anyway, so her daughter decides to leave, and as she's getting into her car driving, her car breaks down, and she couldn't use her phone to call the gas guys to give her a lift.
The tow truck drivers, no.
Because she crushes her phone by the hood of the car.
Yeah, the hood, the front, opened up to have a look at the motor and
crash.
And then she slammed it down shut and had a phone sitting there where the thing closed and broke her telephone.
Yeah, so she walks home and then she starts hearing footsteps and voices, creepy stuff. And as soon as she arrives to her door, we get a moment where she can't get inside, but she eventually gets inside.
And she thinks she's safe at home.
But then we get a jump scare, and I won't tell you what happens next.
Let's just say that she didn't escape Mary Bailey.
Yeah. Moving on is our next story called Ding Dong.
Ding Dong. Do you know this one?
I roughly do.
The Hansel and Gretel type one?
Oh, yes. Yeah. What's this one written by, Mike?
Okay. Written and directed by Lucky McKee.
Lucky McKee. Weird name.
Oh, well, Lucky's probably not his real name.
Now, this one's about a couple whose wife... Well, the wife of the couple is sad that she has no new children. But the guy tries to cheer her up at one Halloween, but it backfires. And then the Halloween after that... they're celebrating Halloween, and she's dressed way cool as a witch, and him dressed as the Hansel from Hansel and Gretel. And they're like doing a bit of a gimmick.
I wonder if they're in a bondage as well. Oh, sorry.
And then they welcome trick-or-treaters, give them candy, and then throughout, just so you guys know, she's not your ordinary woman.
No, she's a witchy, demon-y type person.
Yeah, instead of the usual green makeup we see from...
Red face.
We see a red-faced witch.
Yeah, and it comes out when she gets angry and agitated and stuff.
Anyway, she eventually, after a few trick-or-treaters, she starts feeling like she wishes that she did have a child. Like she's, I don't know.
I reckon she's getting hungry.
And then she's about to make some cookies, and then she decides to, just so you know, not Hansel, her husband tells her that he knew that they couldn't have babies because he had his surgery.
Yeah, he didn't tell her, but he had surgery so he couldn't impregnate her, so she couldn't get pregnant. Of course, he didn't want her because of what she was.
Yes. Anyway, she then stuffs him in the oven and then he burns alive and stuff like that. And she starts screeching, "I'm melting! I'm melting! I'm melting!"
Yeah, she's killing her husband or partner, and actually, I don't think she knew it, but it was going to take her out at the same time. Isn't that justice, folks?
Then we cross over to This Mean War.
I think that's the one for the guys of the displays, isn't it?
Yeah, that's one.
Yeah.
What's it? Who wrote
there we
that
go.
one?
Written and directed by Andrew Cash and John Skip.
Yeah, this one makes me think of a cartoon setup when I think about it, with two cartoons fighting against each other. But in this case, it ends really gory with two old adults fighting against one another.
The original guy, the original neighbour in the neighbourhood, every year puts up the same nice Halloween displays.
Yeah, classic.
And does a really good job of it.
Yeah, classic Halloween.
Across the road in an older house, someone's recently moved in, and they go all out, a bit more steampunky or whatever, and too much noise, and it was taking you away from him. So the older guy who'd been there for years was getting annoyed, and he goes over to confront them.
Yeah,
and I won't say anything more.
As I said before, the guy in the neighborhood, he's classic Halloween, while the other guy is gory Halloween.
Steampunk, gothic sort of
gross. Because of some interesting bits that he has there, it's like intestines draped across the house.
It looks really good. I like it. Really bloodthirsty and really horrible. Really good.
Anyway, they get into a bit of a fight, and they both impale themselves on a stick in the ground, and they die.
Accidentally.
Both of them.
It wasn't intentional.
Then we cross over to Friday the 31st.
Not 13th, the 31st. Now, written by Mike Mendez and Dave Parker, and directed by Mike Mendez. There you go.
Yeah, in this one, it's I think it's a homage to
Jason Voorhees'
Friday the 13th, Evil Dead, and maybe I don't know what else I can think of, because
whatever.
Anyway, it shows us a girl running through the woods, and she's being chased down by this lunatic wearing a mask, and it makes me think of the first Halloween wearing. Well, not the first Halloween. I mean, the first Friday the 13th, second Friday the 13th, where...
Well, you get right. The second one.
The second one, where he's dressed as Farmer Dale and wearing a mask with one eye.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Where before the hockey mask, whatever.
Yeah. Good hockey mask is a good add-on.
The girl eventually runs into a barn, and we see the fragments of her dead friends.
She turns around, and I'm safe in here, and she turns around and sees dead friends and bits and pieces of people. Yes.
Yeah, maybe her friends, I don't know.
And some others, maybe. Yeah.
Anyway, she eventually meets her end because the slasher killer, he ends up impaling her through the chest, through the back and she dies.
Not quite.
And she's dressed as Dorothy, I should say.
Yeah, she got into this room and he broke into the room, and she escaped the room, was running away, and he threw something like a spear at her and got her straight through the backbone and came out through the front. Then she dies.
Yes.
Next bit.
Then she dies, and as he's about to drag her body away, a bright light appears in the sky.
UFO.
A UFO.
Yes. Ooh.
And then we see a light, and then soon a creature arrives. A small
Little guy,
alien
about 6
type
inches tall,
creature.
maybe. Yeah,
And
cute.
he's like, trick or treat. And of course, he asks the psychopath this, but he doesn't answer like you. He answers like
grunting a bit.
grunting a lot.
Yeah, and he didn't have any lollies for him. No candy. Aww.
Yeah. Until he then squishes the creature because he was fed up with him, and he heads back into the barn.
But
the little creature slithers inside the woman.
The dead woman's body.
And we then have an Evil Dead meets Jason Voorhees scene.
Very nice.
Where both him and the dead body of the girl, they begin fighting, and it ends up with cut off limbs. Makes me think of
it's so funny.
Monty Python's with the Black Knight. It's so funny.
Yeah, cut an arm off here, cut an arm, yeah.
Cutting a head off here.
They should have been dead. And well, she was dead, but he should have been dead pretty fast.
Yeah, soon enough, they both collapse to the ground, and little creature slithers out of the girl's head, and he then grabs the psychopath's head, which is chopped off.
Yeah.
And he says to the audience,
Trick
or treat. And then he gets beamed
yeah.
up by his spaceship.
And
we watch
home.
the spaceship zoom past into the...
While the next story is being told.
Yeah, the next story is called The Ransom of Rusty Rex.
Now, this one was written and directed by Ryan Schifrin.
Yeah. This one deals with a bunch of two kidnappers who are thinking of kidnapping a rich, wealthy man's son in order to ransom him.
Yeah, why not?
Unfortunately, they get more than they bargained for. Unfortunately, they find out that Rusty is not a kid per se; he's a demon.
Yeah, and the man who pretending to be his father had been held hostage by the demon for the past 5 years, wasn't it something?
Yeah.
So these guys, he didn't want him back.
Yeah,
he's yours now. He won't leave you alone. You can't get rid of him. So
yeah,
they tried, didn't they? What did they do to him?
What?
What did they do to the little monster guy?
Well, when they found out the news that this is not his son, they try to burn him and throw him in the lake the swamp.
They threw him in the lake first time, and they came back to where they were staying in a warehouse, and they saw these wet footprints.
Uh-huh.
And then they tried to truss him up and took him back to his family home and set fire to him.
Yeah, and then
drove off.
Yeah, they tried to drive away from the town. Unfortunately, when they get to a gas station, they're getting some food.
One of the guys gets out of the car to get the food and comes back to the car, and guess who's sitting in the back seat eating?
Rusty Rex is biting into one of
his partner's head. He's eating it.
Now we get to our final story for this evening called Bad Seed.
Now this one is written and directed by Neil Marshall.
Yes, in this one it does get really interesting because in this one it deals with a pumpkin and a man is carving it and for Halloween, and it somehow comes to life and starts gobbling at him, and the wife screams and
ate his head off.
Yeah,
very nice. Actually, it's funny. A bit later on at the police station, they've had a guy do a plaster cast of what they think the mouth or whatever was that bit his head off.
Yes.
And it's like a big pumpkin mouth and a pumpkin face and everything. Well, that's what bit him. Yeah, right, sure. No one believes anybody in this one.
Yeah, in this one, we do get there's mention in the police station a bit about what's been happening that night. Like there was fist fights. There was a boy who killed his babysitters.
So it's all these stories at the police station are from the previous stories I've already mentioned.
Yeah, they're saying that everything this night was happening was causing them problems.
They were working overtime.
Yeah. Anyway.
A little bit like Trick or Treat. That all happened the same night. They were interweaving stories.
Weaving it in. Anyway, the lady detective, I should say, she plans on investigating. She doesn't find too many leads because she only finds out that it's a pumpkin that it's killing people.
The police artist sketch had a pumpkin, a jack-o'-lantern. Well, they go, oh yeah, sure, like you'd believe that sort of rubbish.
Yeah, the same pumpkin goes after a little boy that's trick-or-treating with his mum, and he gets gobbled up.
Ah, poor little boy, never mind. Didn't like him anyway.
The detective does eventually find it in a bunch of pumpkins. She gets, she nearly doesn't find it because, one pumpkin looks alike. All pumpkins look alike to her.
That's racist.
I agree.
No, fair enough.
Anyway, she eventually finds it. Unfortunately, she runs out of bullets, but luckily her partner was able to follow her and give her a shotgun.
Threw it to her and she went blam. And made pumpkin pulp out of it. There you go.
Yeah, they then find out where this pumpkin came from. It's a special super pumpkin place.
They're using special fertilizers or genetic enhancers or whatever they're using.
Yeah, they finally arrived there, and we see multiple thousands upon thousands of pumpkins there, and
ready to be sold. And how many had already been sold?
We don't have a clue.
Guess.
Then we that's where we ended there, and then we hear the DJ saying Happy Halloween, see you next time. And then
if there is a next time.
It ends there. And just so you guys know, the opening and the ending are sort of like they're like a pop-up book,
Oh, yeah, use that. Yeah, remember that pop-up books you got when you were kids? You open it up and then the cardboard stands up and stuff. Yeah, it was cute.
It was a really interesting look.
I used to have those pop-up books. I loved them.
Yeah, I used to read them when I was in school too, and sometimes in the library here and there, depending on what book I get.
Yeah, good fun for kiddies, yeah.
Anyway.
Very good visual thingy back in those days, pre-computers.
Yeah, interesting thing, guys. In the first segment, with it dealing with the Sweet Tooth, there was a candy bar there called Carpenter Bar, candy bar.
We think that was...
it was a homage to John Carpenter.
Yeah, Carpenter Bar, and that's sweet. And didn't we have, in some of the TVs in the background during this, we had, I think, Night of the Living Dead with George A. Romero reference. And what was the other one? Carnival of Souls by Heck Harvey. Now, the one and only Heck Harvey who made one and only movie.
Yeah, and another reference to John Carpenter is one of the guys, the kiddies, was dressed up as a character from Escape from New York and Escape from L.A. I don't know who the name of the character is, but Snake something or other.
Oh, Snake, yeah.
Yeah, that's character. Sounds really cool. I mean, I think that it's interesting that this movie has references all over the place here and there. It's kind of cool.
What didn't that little guy who played the demon guy? I don't know his name. Didn't they say is it a tribute to him because he passed away?
Something about that.
Yeah, Billy, was it?
Rusty.
I think it was the Rusty one. No, they're not Billy. No, they were not Billy Ray Cell.
Maybe, I'm not sure.
Yeah, the little devil guy.
Yeah, the little devil guy.
Yeah, I can't pronounce his name. Christoph Zajac Danek, I believe. He played this little devil guy, and it said it was paid tribute, so I get the impression he may have passed away.
Yeah,
it's a bit sad.
Yeah, when they released this at the time.
Yeah, so it's a bit sad, he's a little fellow, but he's, He played a good part. Yeah, big part.
The one thing I like about this movie is instead of CGI, they used actual prosthetic, makeup and masks and stuff like that.
Keeping it like the old ways.
Keeping it, authentic and keeping it interesting for the audience at home.
Look, CGI is a good tool, but I mean, nothing. To me, nothing beats the old ways of doing something. Even though it might be fake, it might have latex and other fake blood and some bit of silicone here and something else there and marshmallows making up guts and stuff. It still has a good feel to it, It's, I like it. Yeah. Now, having said all those good groovy things, the film had its premiere at Fantasia International Film Festival in Montreal in July 2015. It was also selected as the opening night film at Wizard World Chicago, as well as the London Fright Fest Film Festival, where it closed the annual event on August. And 31st, 2015. The film was released in a limited release through video on demand, so it didn't actually go to the theatres. Having said that, though, I believe all the critical responses were positive. Rotten Tomatoes gave it 77, and that's a good indication.
Yeah, another thing that's a bit of a reference point is that one of the costumes in the Night Billy Raised Hell is very similar to... one of the actresses was wearing a similar costume worn by Mia Sara in the movie that's called Legend. She was wearing a costume that's references in that movie. It was really cool, and I even pointed this out to Mike when we were watching it the other night, and how it looked a dead-on version of that costume.
Well, it could have been copied a little bit, yeah.
Which is kind of cool. I like the references in this movie. Like, it references to all sorts of not just horror, but fantasy, folk tales. Stuff that's not just horror, but mostly fantasy and stuff like that, which is kind of cool. Yeah. I mean, dealing with with the whole Hansel and Gretel is that's sort of from folk tales, fairy tales. Wouldn't you say, Mike?
Yeah.
So it's nice that they brought in some of those elements of horror to this movie a little bit. Even though when you think about it, Hansel and Gretel, it's not horror, but put it in a different setting, put it in an adult setting, you'll find it is horrific when you think about it.
Yep. Actually, I'm just going back to the critiques. I found one which I always find the odd one, at least, who appears to be coming from a different planet or a different dimension. Now, Dennis Harvey of Variety gave the film a mixed review. Okay. Calling the segments polished enough, but utterly routine. Okay, that's fine. That's okay. Yeah, basic sort of stuff. That's okay. I've got no problem with that. Okay, and saying, even the best of these, however, are held back by brevity from developing silly ideas into anything truly memorable. Now, let's see. This is an anthology. It's got 10 stories, and you've got about 8 to 10 minutes per segment to tell a story. Gee, how much backstory can you put into a 10-minute segment?
Good point, Mike.
I don't think the guy's on the right page. Somehow or other, Dennis must be off with the Pixies or the Ghost and the Goblins being Halloween. And it's took 10 minutes to tell a story. You know?
If it was any longer than that, it would be like a 2-hour movie.
You wouldn't have 10 stories within the anthology. You might have 10. You might have 5. Then 20 minutes. But then, the fun part is the quickie stories. You don't need a backstory. You don't need too much. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Here we are. Whoop, there you go. Let's go on to the next one. And that's what it's supposed to be.
I guess I would like to know a little bit about the Hansel and Gretel story. How did the guy always knew that his wife was a demon / witch?
Repeat after me. Does it really matter? He's married a witch. A lot of us guys have married witches. Now, no, sorry. Well, look at Bewitched, Darren. What I'm saying is, does it matter? No, it doesn't. He's married to a witch. They're talking, we want a baby, whatever, blah, 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 blah. And she's sad. But I think she wanted a child to eat, not to have as a child.
Yes.
And that's what came out during the 10 minutes of the episode, the story. And that was fine. And in the end, she killed her husband, and she melted, just like the witch in Wizard of Oz. There you go. A good closure. Let's move on to the next story. It's not a biggie for me. I don't need a backstory.
Yeah, and I don't need a backstory to somehow with the Friday the
Friday the 31st.
31st. I mean, I don't need an explanation of why.
Why was she running through the bush in the first place? Don't need it. She was being chased by some creepy guy who was a Jason Voorhees wannabe.
And
that's it. Yeah.
And then the whole UFO thing.
well,
it adds a bit of
that was a curveball, if you ask me. That was a really good curveball.
It does have a good curveball, which makes it more funnier.
It was. And little
something
creature came out. He'd say, "Cute, I want one."
Yeah, and something that you don't expect from Jason, from a Friday the 13th. I know we had Jason X. Not going to judge on that one.
Wait. I like Jason X. That's the space one.
Yeah, not judging on that one too much. A lot of movies, even in the years ago, were trying to go for a sci-fi look to make it still.
Jason did it very good. He handled it very well.
They did the same thing with Hellraiser in one of their movies, which is kind of cool.
Did they?
Yeah, they did. Trust me, I'm a professional.
I can't remember.
Well,
I thought I was. What did they do it?
Oh, it's complicated. I can't explain it now.
Are they on space, are they?
What?
Are they going to space or just future?
Futuristic,
Okay.
whatever.
Oh, yeah, vaguely remember it. Yeah, vaguely. Yeah.
Anyway, it was
I've
sort of
seen it
like,
for years.
it was sort of like Alien. I guess that's where most of these people come up with their idea, taking it from Alien in order to take it to a new dimension or new world.
Alien? Well, you all look at The Thing. Nice little alien guy. Did the one of who's one the remake? That was of What's the User, wasn't it? They did up the Antarctic. Kurt Russell? No, the other guy. The Thing?
Oh yeah, The Thing. They did that movie 3 times. I seem to recall.
But the one that did that was it Kurt Russell or somebody?
Yeah, Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
He did.
That wasn't too bad actually.
He did the second one, I think it was.
I liked that one, and they had a good thing. It had these people morphing into creatures and stuff, and
creeped out.
Yeah.
I think audiences really got creeped out by the Thing in that movie. I guess it was something different from instead of the old. I haven't seen the old. Thing, the one back from the original.
Yeah,
but hopefully we may see it one day.
We might even review it one day and compare it to the others. Yeah.
Right now, we're just trying to fill out a Halloween quota.
Yeah, after Halloween, we might do a couple of sci-fis. How's that?
And get round to doing the Wednesday TV series, which has been showing a lot of good, interesting progress.
Trailers are good.
And I hope that we get some really good, plausible stuff to talk about when we review it.
Now, I know I said this before several times, but I really think Jenny Ortega is going to be a force to be reckoned with in the industry because I've seen her in, this is about the 3rd thing I've seen her in, or going to see her in, and I think she handles different roles quite nicely. So,
I think so.
I think she's good looking and she's a good actress. So,
promising one.
No, she's promising. She got the talent. She got the looks. I keep saying looks because you got to look good in a film. You get ugly people, you get plain people, you get the good-looking ones. Now, the good-looking ones get the better roles. Okay, that's why I keep saying she's good-looking. So she'll be able to play love interest, leading lady, leading antagonist, leading protagonist, whatever. And because you got the looks, and she's also got the personality and seeing act. So I think she's going to be really interesting to watch. Yeah. I like her.
Yeah. Anyway, that's about
I haven't said where to get it.
Where can we find it, Mike? Is a big question.
No, actually, I said at the beginning you weren't paying attention.
Well, try again.
Just to refresh the people's memory. You can get it on eBay. You can get it on Amazon either as a rental or a purchase. And I would suggest this is a good one to add to your collection. So go and buy a copy.
Yeah. Although nothing beats Trick or Treat.
And I think Trick or Treat is really, really, really good. And actually, the part I like more about Trick or Treat is because it seems to be happening almost on the same street, and you can see the people in the street interweaving their stories in between segments.
Yeah, in this
that's
one,
really good. It's really well done. Yeah,
in this one, it did the exact same thing. But we could say similar trick-or-treaters, similar people walking in and out of different segments.
Yeah, but didn't have the same continuity type thing the other one had, because you got someone's house to looking at there, starting a segment, then you see a car go past of the girls in the other story, and that sort of stuff. Yeah, it was all self-contained in a small area, and it was really good.
I was referring to this movie, Dad.
No, I'm talking about the other one. I said that's why the other one was better. I think everything overlapped and intermingled, and this one didn't quite meet that. these were just separate stories in the same town or suburb. But the other one, Trick or Treat, did really, really good when doing their version. But this is good. Don't get me wrong.
I agree.
I liked every story. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was pretty cool. Especially, I'm not gonna say which one's my favourites ones because these are all very new to me, and I thought they had some interesting stories attached to it.
Actually, speaking of stories,
What?
how many more Halloweens can we do?
Well,
How many more we do 1 or 2, or then we're on Halloween? Well, you got the dates.
are you referring to the movie?
No, how many Halloweens? How many podcasts can we do on Halloween?
One more.
Another one. Okay.
This one and the next one
that's
after
it,
this is
it,
going to
okay.
be our last ones till
Okay.
the actual Halloween.
Okay. Because there's one I was thinking of. Don't know if I've done it. Deborah Harry plays a nice lady in a neighbourhood, and she gets this little boy who's got to cook. He starts telling stories.
No, I don't think I want to do too many anthologies in this series.
No, not today, but later on, yeah.
Because if we do too many anthologies,
didn't say that.
we won't have anything left to review next time.
I didn't say that, but that's we put the one side maybe for next Halloween, maybe, or somewhere
Maybe.
later in the year or something.
I
Yeah.
also have one more movie to do to review that before we get to
And we haven't
Halloween.
done VHSs yet.
Yeah, we haven't got around to it, but I'm hoping to get the next one is coming up very shortly. Hopefully after Halloween we'll probably review the franchise.
Yeah, you might go for the franchise or something. And it's actually we met somebody at a local video shop today. Well, I say video shop, a media shop.
Yeah.
And we were talking about movies, and we talked about we're doing podcasts. And he asked, do we do old ones? And I said, yeah, we tried to do old ones, but some people say, why do old ones before they've been done? Yeah, but some people haven't seen them.
Yeah, just...
Yeah, you talk about an old movie. You said, let's say if we went back 20 years, and you're a young person who might be 20 years old listening to this podcast, you might not have seen this horror movie when you first came out of your mummy's womb. You might have been sucking on a titty. Okay, so you might have missed the movie. So,
another thing, guys. Some of these movies go directly to DVD or video, and or Netflix, and you choose not to see it for reasons.
It doesn't get the exposure. So okay, you've got a big blockbuster like Alien, which we did that earlier in our podcast. But I mean, some people, a friend of mine particularly, he never watched franchise movies. He didn't see Alien or Star Wars or anything else. He didn't want to get in the franchises. Mm-hmm. So he missed out on a lot. So we're introducing people to franchises. Yeah.
So we're kind of
that's why we're doing it.
So we're doing a good. I think we're doing
trying,
a good job, and I think that if we don't review these movies, we will be doing the world a service by getting them out there and showing the world
breathing some life back at some old. And some new ones.
Yeah, especially ones that are from different countries. You never know until you step outside your door to see an actual new a movie you may have never seen before.
Now that one we mentioned today, that guy, that Suspiria, we went at the store.
Yeah.
The original one, Dario Argento.
That was awesome.
They did a remake using the same name. Isn't anywhere near as good as the original. So if we haven't done Suspiria, we might do that later.
Yeah, Dario, the director for that one, he was really pissed when they made the sequel.
He got a good feel for horror.
I mean, I think when it comes to messing with someone's artwork, you should not mess with the creator.
Yeah, but I know he did good.
That's the interesting thing about filmmakers. They're not just filmmakers; they're also artists in their craft.
Actually, we should look at some more European-based and maybe some Asian-based horror movies and stuff.
We'll look into it.
Yes, if we can find some interesting ones, new and old. Yeah. Because I mean, a lot of our. In Australia, we didn't get a lot of them. Maybe in America and England or whatever,
that's because we're all
they may not have made that there either. So if we can find some interesting titles, why not?
Although most of the time, from experience, I think that a lot of people who dabble in horror in Australia, they have to circulate outside of Australia to get
I'm talking about
promotion.
The movies coming into the country.
I know. I just meant
I'm talking about the European movies coming in. Asian movies come in, not us getting ours out.
I know, but almost like we said about Saw's first movie,
Saw,
James Wan, he couldn't get the funding here, so he had to go all the way out to America to get it.
He did it. for him? Who did he go to?
I don't know which studio it was. I think
It wasn't Blumhouse, was it?
No,
the other guys.
not Blumhouse.
Yeah, whatever. And he got funding over there, and he made several of the movies, and he handed the reins there to somebody else. He went on to other projects.
Exactly.
So James Wan, a very clever man. Yeah.
It's just a shame that he had to go over there to get the money. But these days, in some of these, most of the these ones here, they would only fund documentaries, dramas, and
Australian themed movies and
kids stuff, and nothing to do with horror or gore.
And then they'll turn around and say, "Oh, we've got the American production coming out," and they throw a few dollars out and say, "Oh, we contributed."
Yeah.
What? Yeah, whatever. Yeah, it's really hard over here.
I get annoyed that these guys don't open their eyes to other sets of film projects.
Yeah. Anyway, it doesn't matter. That's our personal gripe over here. It's
anyway,
really
so should we rate this movie now, Mike?
I'm going to give it about a 9.5. Look, I can't find anything wrong with it per se, but yeah, they could have done a little bit more to interweave the stories like Trick or Treat. So I'm going to give it about a 9.
I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10 myself.
Yeah, I mean, we still know it's the same town or same suburb, whatever, but the other one's actually in Trick or Treat. Actually, you had people, a next door neighbour, and you see him at a window, and while the other story's going on, then later on we tell his story and what actually happened inside his house, and little things, everything sort of came together.
Yeah, I mean, Trick or Treaters. Sure, that's easy. That's an easy mark to find the same trick or treaters going from door to door. That you can see that anytime.
I'll talk about stories.
I'm just meaning the characters you see popping in and out. I mean, they just pop in, get the candy, and then pop it out again, and you don't see them again till.
I'm talking the main people for the main stories, not the kiddies running around.
Well, I was referring to the trick or treaters from the story where the adults were kidnapping and killing kids. We saw the four kids,
look similar,
and they've been popping in and out of each segment of stories, and
the same story, lots of kids.
Yeah, but most of the time you can't really tell which one, if it's the same kid or not.
There's a witch and there's something else. Yeah, I know. Yeah. But the point is, I'd like to see it a little bit more close to home. So yeah, it is close to home. Whatever. Anyway, we are getting near the end of October, so get ready for Halloween. We don't do Halloween as much over here in Australia,
Mike,
but
I was telling Mike today, it's such a shame we can't decorate our houses like they do up in America.
Yeah, you guys must have a ball over there.
The only time we get to decorate up our houses is when we do Christmas.
Yeah.
And that's roughly it.
And not everyone does that either, so
only a few houses. Some, if we do a Christmas decoration competition, I don't know.
Yeah, some people do it,
some
but
do it here.
not a lot. So it is sad, but I mean, it would be so good to do a Halloween thingy.
Decorate your front yard full of gravestones,
some skeletons dragging themselves out of the lawn and stuff.
Maybe a few dead bodies.
Yeah,
that's so cool.
I'll hang her out there later on. Sorry, Sarah. Yeah.
I just wouldn't mind doing that stuff. I've seen the stuff at the shops, the hangy stuff.
Yeah, we don't get the good stuff they get over in America. We don't get. We get like some basic stuff, but not as good as I've seen in these movies. The stuff that they dress their houses up with, they got so much good stuff. I wish I had it.
I agree.
I'd go bananas, totally bananas. Yes.
Yeah, I would love to see a house decked up in that stuff in person.
Yeah, deck the halls with blood and guts here. La 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 la. What?
Mike. Anyway, that's about it for us tonight, guys. So feel free to check it out on the sites that you can on Tales of Halloween. So you can let us know in the comments which is your favorite segment in the movie. Give us your thoughts on the episode in the movie, and so we would love to hear all your thoughts on it. Okay, guys.
Please.
Anyway, that's about it for us tonight. So thanks for listening to our latest podcast, everyone. This is Sarah Stephenson.
And Michael.
Saying, see you guys next time on Boys and Ghouls Film Review. Bye for now.
Bye, guys.